Hi, I'm Katie Grindon with KG Realty here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest in Washington State. Now that June is officially in the books, let's take a quick look at what happened in our housing market, both nationally and right here at home in the Northwest MLS. There's a lot to cover, so let's start with the big picture. June brought some major shifts across the national housing market, and if you've been following the headlines, you might be wondering what's really going on. So here's what stood out. New home inventory climbed to 9.8-month supply. That's the highest we've seen in years. Builders are feeling the pressure to move inventory, and they're offering some strong incentives to get it done. In May, 57% of to-be-built homes and 75% of quick move-ins included concessions. Many builders are offering mortgage rate buydowns, dropping rates about half a point below resale homes, and 37% of builders actually cut prices. That's the highest level we've seen since 2022, and I personally have been experiencing that with my new home buyer clients. If you're considering new home construction, this is a great time to explore those options. Redfin reported 1.9 million sellers on the market, but only 1.4 million buyers. That shift is giving buyers more leverage in many areas. Affordability challenges are still keeping some buyers on the sidelines, which means less competition, more price drops, and more sellers offering concessions. Some areas are still hot, like the Seattle market. Others are cooling. It really depends on your local market. Nationally, price growth has slowed. 22 major metros saw prices drop year over year, with Tampa and Austin leading the way, both down more than 5%. That said, markets that appreciated dramatically over the last 5 years are still holding strong overall, like the Seattle market. Forecasts for 2025 vary. Some are predicting slight declines. Others expect growth between 2 and 3%. The average forecast sits around 1.9%. Mortgage rates hovered around 6.75%, and experts predict them to stay elevated through the third quarter of this year. With inflation and economic uncertainty still in play, we're likely to see rates in this range for a bit longer. Existing home sales are expected to tick up slightly this year compared to 2024. New home sales may stay relatively flat as builders slow down new starts to avoid oversupply. And this pullback could actually tighten inventory again in 2026. Affordability remains one of the biggest hurdles for buyers right now. High rates, rising inventory are putting pressure on both sides of the deal. Income growth may help over time, but for now, it's still a tight squeeze, especially for my first-time home buyers. So let's bring it back home and talk about what's happening right here in our local market. Inventory jumped to nearly 20,000 active listings in June, and that's a big deal. It's the first time since 2022 that every single county in the MLS has double-digit year-over-year increases in listings. That means more options and a little more breathing room for buyers. Mortgage rates here have stayed around 6.77%, and while that's still historically high, there's no sign of a major drop in the near future. The median home price came in at $670,000. That's a slight increase from May and about 3% higher than last year. So we're seeing some nice price stability. Closed sales ticked up slightly, and while we're not quite in a balanced market yet, with under 3 months of inventory in most areas, we're definitely moving in the right direction. Showings were a little slower than May, but still higher than this time last year. Buyers are watching. They're just being more intentional and strategic. So here's the takeaway from June. We've got more inventory hitting the market. Pricing is staying fairly steady, and we're seeing early signs of balance starting to return. So if you're thinking about buying or selling or just trying to make sense of all of this, you don't have to figure it out alone. Reach out anytime. I'm always happy to walk you through the numbers, share what I'm seeing on the ground, and help you map out your next move with confidence.